Hello, welcome to my embroidery studio. Today I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to stitch out a new design. It is in fact the freebie for everybody who belongs to the group forum. So this is the freebie for May 2020. I've created a special design from the Graced in Petals collection, and it has scallops in it, but the scallops aren't created in such a way that you can do a scalloped edge, but I've adapted this design so you can. So let's stitch it out today and see what happens. Right, now I've loaded the design up in my on my Epic 2, and I'm stitching it out in the medium size hoop, which is 240mm by 150. What I've done here is I've loaded up some wash away stabilizer, and because I'm going to put silk on the top, I can't really put temporary adhesive on there, so I've just laid the silk on it, and we're going to baste a box round the design to hold it in place. And the idea being that I'm going to cut away the silk, and so that all we'll have underneath is the around the edges is the stabilizer, holding everything nicely together when we do the scalloped edges. Hopefully it'll make sense as we go along. Let's do a box of stitches round the design, and this is the box that the machine will stitch for me. Now, because it's not held in place by stabilizer, I'm going to stop it a minute and slow it down. And as I go, you can see I'm ironing it in place with my hand, making sure that everything is in the right place. Now, this design has an outline that stitches out, and that shows you where the scallops are going to be. So we're going to do the outline of the scallops now, but please remember, although it will show in your embroidery file as red stitches, you don't want red stitches. Please remember that outline alignment stitches and these sort of stitches are always shown in red in my designs, but that isn't, you don't want to use those colours. The scallops are going to be done in a primrose colour, a very pale lemon, or it's the cream actually, Sulky Wren 1022, and so I'm actually doing the outlines with those so that nothing nasty will show through on the scallops. So let's stitch out these 4 little scallops. Here you can see, if you look really carefully, the outlines of the scallops. They've been stitched out in the cream colour. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim all the silk away from the outside of these scallops. Now you can get special scissors to do this, but I tend to use my my embroidery scissors. They've got that slight curve, and I find that very useful when I'm cutting around curves. Now remember, we've got the we mustn't cut through the stabilizer. So the first bit, I'm going to use my stitch ripper just to lift up, that's it, and checking that I'm got a little hole there. I suppose I should have done this outline in red so that you could see, but I'm just cutting very carefully. Go slowly and make sure that you're not cutting into the stabilizer. We've got our outline alignment stitches, and they're holding nicely onto the fabric. You need to cut quite near and slowly work round. Now I know what's going to happen because I've done this. People will say, Oh, but I love the designs in the Graced in Petals collection. Why aren't all the scallops been given this treatment? Well, you can't give the treatment to all of them. Let me first state that the scallops have got to be all joined up for this satin scalloped edges. And so in some of the designs, just checking I haven't, there we are, there's how I'm going. A lot of the scallops sit individually in this collection, and so they couldn't be given this treatment, but no doubt there are designs in the set that could be given this treatment. And if you ask me whether they can be adapted, well, first of all, I would say you wouldn't be able to adapt them, I don't think. What you have to remember is that you've got to have these guidelines to cut. I've never experimented with stitching out the scallops, cutting round them and then stitching them again when you've done the trimming. That would be worth an experiment, certainly. This is a fiddly job, but not something which you should rush. Now, you probably can see, and I hope I'm not pulling this out of the view of the camera, the scallops almost join, or the guidelines almost join, and that's because obviously these understitches are sitting within the scallop, so that when we do the next lot of stitches, they are hidden, or the little bits of fabric between. Now we have to, sorry, my arm's getting in the way, we have to cut as you can see what I'm doing, I'm cutting within the square, which was the outline, a basting box that my machine popped around the design. Now you're probably thinking, if you know my thoughts on washing silk dupion, you know that I never do that. So you're probably wondering why on earth, there we are, all cut up, all cut off now. There we are, there's our outline of the design. I've probably got a few little bits of silk sticking out, but that doesn't matter. They can be trimmed after the satin stitches are done, and that's what the back looks like. Obviously, as I was saying earlier on, when design stitches out, the guidelines are very similar to the underlay of each scallop, but obviously the underlay stitches and then immediately does the satin. If you've got more than one scallop, then that's no good. So it isn't really easy. It'd be very complicated to open this design on your in your software and pull out the underlay to use that as the guideline. But perhaps we'll experiment into just trimming round it and restitching the scallop again, because that is an option, but a lot depends on how the scallop's been digitized to stitch out. So I'm going to take this to the machine now and continue with the design. Right, I've slipped the hoop back onto my embroidery unit. It's a real challenge filming embroidery on your own, and I think until the day we actually have cameras attached to our machines, it will be a difficulty, because I can't get underneath. This part of the machine is in the way. But anyway, let's stitch our scallops out now. So that is the scallops done, and they worked out very well. I've just got to do just a tiny little bit of alignment here. There's a little gap between the scallops. In the other places it's not too bad. Look how neatly that's done. Anyway, I'm going to now stitch the other colours in the design. You'll see the little flowers and scrolls that are very familiar elements of the graced in petals. The little scroll work in this in these designs, looks lovely if it's stitched out in a metallic. So I've put a gold metallic on. I'm going to take the speed down to sort of midway. It's not caught itself. Now it is a Monday, and on a Monday I normally clean my bobbin area and to give everything a little look over and give it a new needle. When your design stops like that, I always start going back a couple of places. See, we've missed a few. And the lovely thing is I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Right, that's the first stitch there. This is a back stitch that's stitching out. It's not running stitches. It's got a little bit more substance to it than running stitches, but it still comes alive if it's stitched in metallic thread. Well, that's the gold work done, and that's worked out very well. I do find that when I use metallic threads, I'm more likely to get tiny little bits collect in the bobbing in the cutting area underneath. Although I cleaned it out this morning, it would probably be a good idea to check it before I do any more embroidery. Now we're going to do the two-tone leaves, and to do this on these designs, they are literally two colours that are very similar, two very similar greens, but it just gives a little bit more detail to the so let's put the speed up to full, and I'll come back when the leaves are stitched. Here you can see the 4 leaves stitched out, and they are 2 shades of green. In fact, one is light putty, which is 1229, and the other is putty, which is 1508. And it just gives a little bit of interest. Look how that metallic thread is making everything pop so very nicely. Now we've got some little flowers that I'm going to stitch out. Excuse my arm going in the way of the camera. Right, those are the yellow flowers done. Now on most of the graced in petals designs, the little flowers are blue, which are really based on forget-me-nots, but I'm going to tone down the design so that there isn't so much contrast, and I'm going to do them in a light heather colour, which is it's called Gentle Rain. It's Sulky Rayon 1834. I think you'll agree with me that those colours are absolutely gorgeous. Now I have made these designs in such a way that the middles of the two different types of flowers are stitched in two different colours, but I'm going to just do them in one colour, and I was waiting to see what they all look like when I stitched it out to decide what colour to go for. I want to do something that will sit nicely but not be too much of a contrast, not too loud. Just checking all my I'm wondering whether to go for something like that, which is just a little bit darker. This is 1809. I think it's iced heather. There's a load of these colours. There's sort of like a dusky heather colour, and they're not available everywhere, I'm afraid. They're not available in the UK. I have to send away to America for them. And obviously, because I'm going to, I need to turn off the colours. So I'm just going to click the stop button, which will mean that the next two colours will stitch out without stopping in between. Let's hope I've made the right decision here. That's a nice contrast. I like that. We have a tendency to put light colours in the middle of tiny flowers, but actually a darker colour works better because it'll be more visible. I really like the way that's turned out, and I'm going to let that do the other. I was confused for a moment there, but I'm going to let it finish the whole design in that colour. They're only very tiny little middles that go in the smaller flowers. It's just a ring of satin stitches. And obviously you could leave that out and you could put a seed pearl in, or a very tiny hot fixed pearl or crystal. Now we have to ask the question, now I've stitched this out, would I have done anything different? Yes, I would. I would have done the scallops in ivory. They're nice in the cream, but it's just a little bit too yellow for me. I think scallops look lovely in ivory or white. And that is our design finished. Let's just move it off the embroidery unit so you can see it. And I put it here in front of the camera. Oh no, that's no good. It doesn't look too good. The light from the camera is casting shadows. So that's it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go over and move the camera and myself over to my my craft table. I'm really pleased with that. They're very. I love this combination of sort of light, dusky heathers and creams. It is one of my favourite colour schemes. But no, that is beautiful. Let's take it over to the craft table and see what we have to do to finish it. Isn't that lovely? I'm really pleased with that. I'm just going to take the camera out just a little bit. Now I'm going to take it out of the hoop. And the first thing I probably need to do is to tidy up the back and trim the jump stitches. I've put it on a bit of kitchen roll because I don't want my felt board to get wet, and I'm just moving around from the back on each of the scallops. But I would say, and this is becoming quite obvious to me, that although you can, when you wet it, pull it away, you have to remember that this stuff is sticky. And so this area around here is very sticky to the touch. And I'm tempted to just cut it and not have to deal with the... I mean, I'm literally hardly cutting it. I'm really using the scissors like a knife. And I have another pair of scissors somewhere, which is even which are sharper. Now once you've got water on this, it won't cut very well. But as you can see, it's and obviously when you've got dense scallops, they've almost cut it themselves. But obviously if you create this little mat on a fabric that's going to be washable, then it's not going to be a problem. But I just wanted to address this issue of edging, because it can be a little bit more of a problem when you're dealing with silk. But obviously if this mat, you know, the finished design, if it was going to go anywhere near water or moisture and you didn't want it to end up a big soggy mess, then don't do it in silk, or use the hot the heat away, not hot. There we are, and there's our mat. So there's a few lessons to be learnt there. But I don't believe in just sitting in my studio and preparing something and showing it to you and it being a total success, because embroidery, machine embroidery is not like that. Well, it certainly isn't for me, and I've been doing it for many, many years. So there we are. It needs a little bit of tidying up on the back, but you get the hang of it, and you get the idea of what you can use this design for. And this design is available free. The Graced in Petals collection is available as the collection of the month at Graceful Embroidery this May, and we're in 2020, just in case you're watching this video later on. And there are 5 sets in it, and you get all 5 sets, which is well over 100 designs, just for $35, which is a saving of $20, because it's normally, it's saving of $25, because it's normally $60 for all the sets in the collection. But you can get this design free, providing you are a member of the Graceful Embroidery group forum. There are many benefits to being part of the forum, but one of the main things is all the freebies you get hold of. And I'm trying to, each month's freebie, I'm trying to introduce a feature or a technique. And this month I wanted to show you how easy it is to do scalloped edging. And so this design is not, I don't believe in 4x4 freebies. This design will stitch out in a 6x6 inch hoop. I used my, I don't like my 6x6 hoop, there's something wrong with it. So I used my medium one, which is 9.5 by 6. There we are. I hope that if you've not joined the forum, that you will do. Hit the link, which is in the title, the details underneath this video, and go to the forum page. And I encourage you to watch the videos which help you sign up, and do give me 24 hours to approve your memberships. I'm in the UK, so people who apply in the evening in the US won't be approved for a good 12 to 16 hours, depending on when I check the following day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. And until next time, happy embroidering from Hazel at Graceful Embroidery. Thanks for watching. Bye.